What's going on, you guys? It's your Huggable Hipster here. Welcome back to my channel, and it's time for another game review. You guys, I'm excited about this game review. You wanna know why? Because this game is over right now. No, I'm just joking. I can say that with a straight face. I loved this game. I absolutely loved this game. It was a long game, though. And you guys know the game I'm talking about because it's in the freaking title. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. God, this is going to be an interesting review. Okay. Also, I am very shocked, very shocked that over the weekend I did not get some hate pertaining to the whole ninja thing that I talked about in my Casual Nerd episode on Friday. So, whew, got that one out of the way, dodged a bullet. I meant everything I said in my video, so if you had not had time to check the video out, please check it out. Also, let's get the watch time up, okay? I want to make partner by this year, and you guys, you just keep watching the videos, okay? And watch the entirety of the video, not just one part and say, oh, she's stupid, then go away. No one said I was stupid, but, you know, just putting that out there. So, we're gonna get into it. She's semi-thick. She's athletically skinny. So let's go into the search for Valhalla. Let's go into this article. When I posted the article this morning, on the Word document it said 5 pages. That's what I have right here. I have a 5-page article on a game that released 3 months ago. It took me almost 2 months to finish the game, and I'm kind of shook at how long it was, to be honest with you. It came in close second to Red Dead Redemption 2. So, what is Valhalla exactly? You know, is it a place or a state of mind that the Norse found themselves in with delighted vigor? The world of Assassin's Creed spans for years, telling the story of the world through one person. Coming back to life this year after the Assassin's Creed Rebellion came out and was released for Android and iOS, Assassin's Creed lives up to the hype and expectation that was teased before the release. And so I just want to preface this with saying that if your hype and expectation was built up around the trailer, yes, a lot of that stuff does happen, but you don't ever see the trailer in the game. That scene that you see in the trailer, it never happens. It never, unless I'm missing it because I didn't go to Asgard yet. But no, it doesn't happen. I have conquered so many freaking territories within that game. I conquered almost every single territory within the game. So put up your battle axes, raise your horns, and get ready to pillage and loot with Odin's best. So the journey begins here. Assassin's Creed is built up of a Matrix-esque honeycomb of plot lines that seem like they are about a bit much to chew off, if you ask me. With complex arcs, diverse themes, and characters, it's no wonder that it took me nearly 2 months to finish this game. Now, the Assassin's Creed games revolve around the conflict between two ancient societies, which I found out during my playthrough. And you guys gotta keep in mind, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is the very first Assassin's Creed game I've ever played. So just, you know, go easy, hardcore Assassin's Creed fans, okay? I mean, I quite enjoyed my journey with this game. But so the conflict between two ancient societies were the assassins who represent freedom and the Knights Templar who represent order. These societies actually existed, and more importantly, in every Assassin's Creed game there is some sort of historical connection to the main plot line that will connect back to the main and or purpose of and goal of like what Assassin's Creed really is in the main plot line. You still with me? Historical facts that get molded into the game's universe, it's pretty tricky to do correctly and accurately, to say the least, to really depict the history well. Like you're combining action and thrill, and also combining elements of like somewhat comedy, because there is different levels of comedy, whether it be dry humor or just right in your face comedy in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. For example, you know, this isn't anything that I've ever seen in the game. I'm just using it as an example of something that, you know, could potentially happen in an Assassin's Creed game. You know, you need to kill a guy who just stole a loaf of bread, right? But you can't just go up to him and assassinate him. No. But then you need to talk to the guy's friend, then the daughter, then get into a fight with a crowd of people in order to get to said person who stole the loaf of bread. It's a whole process. This is Assassin's Creed in a nutshell, basically, okay? It's a long way around doing a very simple task. Now, while this is a very straightforward and simple way to look at things, the lore of Assassin's Creed is very in-depth. Very in-depth. The story spans so many different games that it's almost like, when I was doing my research, I felt overwhelmed. Since Assassin's Creed Valhalla is my first experience with the franchise, I know you all are screaming right now in disbelief. I understand. I had a unique adventure that led me to fall in love with the game and all of its concepts. So besides the fact of how long it was just... It was such an amazing story. So let's dive into the psychology bit. As you guys know, I always incorporate a little bit of psychology into all the articles that I do, and this part, this is the part that either people are going to go, no, stop it, or they're gonna go, tell me more. Playing this game, I thought of the concept of desynchronization, and it was really an interesting concept to me, of how you go into an animus and doing certain things will get you desynchronized. I'm like, okay, this is really, really cool. This is a really interesting concept to me. The psychology behind it would be interesting in a topic to approach, because this is an idea that I came up with in a theory that I kind of just plopped onto the paper while I was writing this article, and see, well, alright, let's see how this goes. So the idea of becoming someone else through a machine to see their history, allowing yourself to take part in a lucid dream to an extent. Now hang in there with me. Hang in there with me. I know when people hear lucid dream, they go all wonky. Only this dream actually happened. This lucid dream actually happened. The theory that I've come up with is, while yes, you are put into this device called the animus, you are basically being forced into a type of coma, if you will. You are being forced into this mentally, just this mental state of being someone else for however an extended period amount of time you are in there for. Animus means to animate, right? So you are then reanimated into another life, essentially. You are in a coma and you are being reanimated into someone different. Then forcing a reboot back into your own body. You're basically like a computer forcing a reboot back into the body you were previously in. Desynchronization. This could also be astral projection, but that's a really big time stretch and I'm not even gonna go there. You know, it's a different person, but it's the same mind of the main host that's under the animus, if you will. So even though you are in the animus being Eivor, you're still you. So I changed the page on this article because I can't memorize a script for So buckle in for a long story. Seriously, I said it at the beginning of this review and I'll say it again. This is a long gameplay. I put in over, I want to say by the end of it, 120 hours into this game, and by the time I hit the 100-hour mark, I was a little past the halfway point, I think. The story of Assassin's Creed Valhalla is, it's one that I wasn't expecting. It was rich. It was filled with diverse characters, lush plots, and complex motives. It's also very, very long. I love me a good long game. Okay, I love it. I really do love a good story, but in certain places, not in the whole game, I'm saying in certain places, the length of the stories in certain arcs was just drawn out and unneeded, in my opinion. I understand this is an open world game, and for, you know, I mean, for frick's sake, this is how open world games go, okay? You have a lengthy story. That's just it. I mean, like, I don't know what people expect when they go into an open world game. Candy and a linear story that takes off and then ends really quickly. No, it doesn't work like that, Seymour. If you're going into an open world game, just be prepared to sit there and play the game for hours. Be prepared to have your socks blown off, alright? Your socks knocked off? I think it's your socks knocked off. That's where the phrase goes. In the beginning, I saw a steady flowing plot line, because the thing is that when you go from the beginning until a certain point, up until the point after, a little bit after you rescue Sigurd, that's when you have that main plot line. That's when you have that main story arc all at once. After the point of when you rescued Sigurd, it's the Wild West. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know what place you're supposed to go to next. It's unknown territory. After you save Sigurd, it just goes kind of like, it goes kind of weird, you know? Like, in terms of weird, I mean, the chapters felt like filler in some instances, you know, and some of them were just purely boring. I'm sorry, literally, I'm sorry, because I did not want them to feel boring. Out of everything, I wanted to be able to be excited by some of them, but I just couldn't. And during each part of every chapter, I felt like it was amping me up for something that they just could have covered earlier, to be honest. While the ending was incredible, it was worth the slow, freezing walk towards Valhalla. I wondered why it was needed to go to Dag's wedding, or why it was needed to kidnap a queen so she could return home. I'm just wondering about these different things, okay? There are certain arcs that make sense in a video game. Like, for example, Red Dead Redemption 2, right? Red Dead Redemption 2 was a very long game. I think that game was like 20-some parts that I played on this channel. I think so. I think it was. And every mission that you did in Red Dead Redemption 2 connected to the story. Even though it was a side mission, I don't care if it was a side mission, part of the main arc, whatever it may be, it all connected cohesively together. So that's where I kind of was like... So I don't understand why it was needed, like I said, to go to Dag's wedding or kidnap a queen so she could return home. Like, those who play the game, you all know what I'm talking about, okay? The main storyline, if done in a singular, like, narrative way, which they do, but they also don't, it would have been at the most a 10-hour game, honestly. This game, like I said, I put in over 100 hours, no joke. Like, I'm not saying the game wasn't fun, or else I wouldn't have put in as many hours as I did. But, you know, since I was doing the playthrough on my YouTube channel and have a schedule that I need to keep, I don't expect it to take 2 months to play. But, you know, I conquered it, okay? I conquered it. Mostly because I finished all the chapters that weren't on the main arc on my own and not on YouTube, but I conquered it regardless, okay? I know it's kind of cheating, but when I say, hey, I want to play the main storyline on YouTube, I mean that I want to play the main storyline on YouTube. Don't give me this side arc BS right now, okay? I want to see if Sigurd's okay. I'm not kidding. Anything but the main storyline, I consider filler, alright? You know, especially when you're in an open world type setting of a game, a lot of the stuff that you do as side quests that leads up to the next pivotal point of a game is technically filler. You can't deny that. Now, unless you're doing it like Red Dead Redemption 2 did, where it's all story, nothing but story, then nothing in there is filler. With a lot of these chapters in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I felt that they were filler, and I felt that a lot of the parts, like I said before, were unneeded. Now, open world games contain a variety of stuff, you know, side missions, different quests, and different arcs, but this game, there were too many arcs to the point of where it became confusing at times to try to pinpoint which one you should do next to go into order. It's fair if you want to create a game talking about, you know, like taking over all of Europe and doing it that way. I completely understand that. That's fine. But don't make a linear plot line and then it's telling your audience one thing and basically doing another. Like, it's stating that there's a linear plot line to the entire thing, which there is, but there's a lot that you need to do to go into the linear plot line to make it linear. If you're doing the plot line, I don't know how speedrunners are going to do this game, holy crap. If you're doing the linear plot line, it's going to take you a dog's year to do it because you need to do everything else in order to complete the game. Having so many different arcs within this game both worked and it didn't, since we had one main storyline that included Eivor, Sigurd, and Basim. Alright, you had one main storyline that included those lovely people. After we rescued Sigurd, like I said, you don't really see the storyline pick up until the very last chapter in Hordafilk. Even after there is an epilogue, and it shows the progress of Ravensthorpe. Even after the main story, there is an epilogue, which I'm going to play. I just need, I need a break from that game for a little bit. So we're going to go into something that's, I thought, in my opinion, a very interesting part. It was the last chapter, but it was also a concept of what I call a false death. One thing that I want to touch on is the concept of Valhalla through the issue machine that was in the game. Sigurd believes that this is Valhalla. The issue machine is Valhalla from his visions, and you know, it is, after Eivor finds out, is an illusion and a lie of sorts. That is this falsehood built on the memories of the person. Now, it's not an actual death. It's not an actual Valhalla for them. It's just a conceptualized kind of, I don't know, thing to massage the ego, if you will. What fascinates me about this part of the game is that this is a chapter right before the ending. Like in Hordafilk, you have 2 chapters. This is the first one that you're going into because you're seeing the the illusion play out, if you will, and then you have the last chapter after that, which it's interesting that they only made the last chapter have 2 sub-chapters. Sergen wants to live a lie, so he feels remembered and special. Now, there's a quote that Eivor says, which I'm going to read to you guys, and I think it's absolutely so important to this entire playthrough, and it shows the humanity, if you will, of just everything about this game. And she states, "The only thing that doesn't die is the reputation of the one who has died." Now, this is my favorite line. Out of the entire game, this is my favorite line because it's so very telling. Death is a part of life. You can't escape death, and it's one of the finite, predictable things about life. You know, death is always a part of it. Death is much like an old friend, you know, it'll greet you one day and you have to be okay with it. You know, you just gotta do it with a smile on your face and be willing to accept the fact that, hey, you know what? This isn't to be morbid, this isn't to be, you know, all sad, you know, hokey pokey and everything like that. It's to be realistic because, you know, this game touches on some real subjects. No one is exempt from the fate of death, okay? The concept of death in this game is one of a harsh reality that is brought to the forefront and is proudly displayed. Now, for everyone, the concept of death is learned through each their own path and a different path, you know, obviously. But what I find really, really intriguing this time is that in the Norse mythos, Odin the God, who is a god, you know, who has basically a god complex and is reminiscent of the id, which is funny to me. He, in the history, and any Norse, you know, mythology experts who happen to see this video, let me know if I'm correct or if I'm wrong, but from what I remember and what I read, is that he is the one to grant you a seat in Helheim or Valhalla next to him. So it's, you know, to take a unique approach to this, where Odin really isn't an actual being, more or less he's a part of you. It's the part of the person to an extent. So Odin would be the person's god complex. Odin would be the person's sins, their strengths, their vices, much like how, you know, for lack of a better term, how God is for people today. So let's get into my final thoughts of the game. It's fascinating to see how this game has just become one of my favorites. You know, while it has its issues, while it has a lot of things that I feel need work, it's really fascinating to see an Assassin's Creed game finally had to have been a close second to Red Dead Redemption 2 for me, okay? Like, while I feel as if Ubisoft could have done a little better of a job making the plotline more linear, as they suggested, and actually putting what they had from the trailer into the game, because that's just false advertising right there. You can't ignore that. Which, I mean, if Red Dead Redemption 2 can do a huge game and stick to the plotline, I feel like, you know, Ubisoft can do it too with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I mean, the game, you know, instead of it jumping and skipping all over the place, it's something I won't forget. This game is always going to be in the memory vault for me, okay? So much Norse mythos. That's the thing that I love about this game. For me, I'm such a Norse mythos lover. Like, it has accurate lore. It has really intense parts where even the you know, the pieces of the story and the arc that weren't a part of the main plot line, it was so intriguing to see. Like, so many people who betrayed us, so many people who died who I thought were just I absolutely loved it. Like, it's so intense at certain parts where it really just grabs you into the story and it doesn't let go. Like, I love it. I love it. The game as an introduction to the Assassin's Creed world for me it was really breathtaking, honestly. And I feel like the last part of the game, I teared up because, you know, as a lot of you probably saw in my playthrough, I was asking who the hell is Desmond Miles. I didn't realize that dude was literally the main guy from the very first game, and who was apparently Mr. Shiny from the tree, the issue machine that was in the game. I didn't know that was Desmond Miles. Whoops. Just, it's a game I would highly recommend. Just set aside a few months, your best mead, and a hearty battle cry, because you're gonna need it. But you guys, that is it for this review. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys read the article is down in the description below. And if you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below, because I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and double uploads on Friday. Stay casually nerdy, you guys, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.